Hello and welcome to the 4thDownPodcast. Getting ready for Week 17. Currently recording during the Cowboys-Titans matchup. We are your hosts for today. My name is Alex.
My name is Mickey.
And boy, we got a lot of fun topics today. It's a big week around the NFL. A lot for a lot of teams. Some big matchups. As you see on the bottom of your screen, we'll be talking about some of those crucial matchups for some teams. And our NFL Pick'em Week 17, which we pick 5 games. We pick who's going to win. And we were going to do an MVP conversation, but I feel like the Raiders and the bench of Derek Carr is a little more important, especially with, the star wide receiver Devontae Adams being ticked off. But that's another topic to discuss later in the show. What I do want to start with real quick, or what shall we start with, is starting out with some of these crucial games for a couple teams. If you look at the AFC playoff picture right now, it's and NFC playoff picture too, it's really tight. A lot of teams could be eliminated. A lot of teams could survive and advance. But I wrote down 4 crucial games for a lot of these teams. I think these are the 4 most important games. Let's start with Miami, New England for that first off. Winner of that game will get the 7th seed. And as for Miami, they have a little bit of a struggle, a little bit of a struggle bus going on. And same with New England. New England pretty much failing at the last play of the game again. So Miami, New England should be a very fun game. What do you say?
It should definitely be a fun game. It will be interesting to see how both of these teams perform. With the way they've been performing recently, they are definitely going to have to step up their game, whichever one makes it into the playoffs.
Mm-hmm. And not only that, I know Tua has the concussion, which I think he's not going to play. It's going to be Teddy Bridgewater to step up, which, the whole Dolphins situation could be another conversation. But to focus on this game real quick, Teddy Bridgewater, lights on him now. Definitely. And with the weapons he had, I think he'll have a great game. But more importantly, I think this is all eyes on the Patriots for this one, because Mac Jones, they recently have been struggling. That offense has been struggling a little bit, and they have some tough losses. Almost came back against the Bengals, and obviously that play against the Raiders. But all eyes are on Bill Belichick and that Patriots offense. These are the type of games which the Patriots should win, because the way Bill Belichick's been.
Yeah, Mac Jones has to prove himself sooner rather than later if he wants to stay in the position that he's in. And then as far as the Dolphins go, they have what they need to be a good team. But can they come together cohesively and use that talent appropriately is the question.
Right, so it'll be very interesting. I'm excited to see the Miami Dolphins receivers against that Patriots secondary. But more importantly, I'm excited to see how Mac Jones does against that Dolphin defense. Big game for him. So, yeah, we'll see what happens. It should be a fun game. From one game to another, Minnesota Green Bay. I didn't want to put too much crucial games because they are going to be some of our pick'ems. So I have a couple pick'em games here and there. But I think Minnesota Green Bay is a very important game too, because the Vikings won the NFC North. Green Bay had the best weekend of any of the teams fighting for a playoff spot. And then the Minnesota Vikings trying to knock out Green Bay in the playoffs. Going to Lambeau Field. Not going to be as cold as it was for January football, but it should be a fun game. Green Bay's kind of red hot right now. They're winning games, but they're barely winning. It should be interesting to see, especially that Green Bay defense against Justin Jefferson and Dalvin Cook in that Vikings offense.
Yeah, I agree. It'll definitely be interesting because both of these teams, Green Bay right now is hanging on by the skin of their teeth. But every game of the Vikings, it feels like they're doing the same thing even though they're winning.
Mm-hmm. And it helps too with Kevin O'Connell. I like what he did as a first-year head coach. Could be coach of the year. If not, maybe Nick Sirianni, but definitely Kevin O'Connell should be in front runner for coach of the year. But yeah, this is huge for Green Bay, because if Green Bay wins out and Washington loses, Green Bay will make the playoffs. But as I said, if they lose, Green Bay is pretty much eliminated from the playoffs. So this is a big game, and and this is for Minnesota too. If Minnesota loses, they will get knocked down to the 3 seed, which the 49ers will take that 2 seed spot. So this is important for playoff seeding for the Vikings, as it is trying to fight for a playoff spot for the Packers. So, but I think what's going to come down to this is that Packers defense against those Viking playmakers, especially Justin Jefferson and Adam Thielen. So yeah, so I don't know if you have any final thoughts for that game.
No, but I think it's going to be a good game. At least I hope it is.
Yeah, it should be a fun one. Now let's go to the Sunday night game. Pittsburgh, Baltimore. The game that was flexed to Sunday Night Football. And the reason I picked this game for a crucial one, Ravens made the playoffs, but they have not won the AFC North. Pittsburgh fighting for an AFC playoff spot. Now they're going to need a lot of help. Not as little as the Packers need help, but this is a big game for both teams. Baltimore fighting for that AFC North title because they're one game behind the Cincinnati Bengals. Ignore that. If you hear a loud honk, ignore that. But ignore that. But yeah. Sorry.
Anyway.
Yeah, sorry. Someone literally just honked like 15 times. Anyways, I was saying. Oh yeah, the Ravens, they're one game behind the Cincinnati Bengals. And yes, the Bengals have a tough game coming up, and we'll talk about that game in a little second. But the Ravens need this badly, and against the Pittsburgh Steelers team, which I think the Pittsburgh Steelers really aren't that good as a team offensively, but defensively they're great. And who knows if Lamar Jackson will be back?
So Pittsburgh is very strong defensively, and they are slowly getting better offensively. They're hitting their stride. They're going to be in a rebuild because they have a new quarterback. A lot of their pieces on offense are new, and they're all learning how to play together. But the Ravens have a hard time playing a full game. So it would not surprise me if they can't stick it out the whole way through.
Right. I think it'll come down to the running game against the Pittsburgh Steelers defense. Because, I mean, Steelers been playing well. Give them their props. Give them their, I think they were 5-8 when they keep telling about, like, oh, Mike Tomlin's going to finally have a losing season. Mike Tomlin goes, not so fast. So, we'll see how that goes. But, yeah, we'll see how that goes. And our last game for the crucial games I have, and it's probably going to be the best game of not only the week, but maybe the season. The Bills playing the Bengals at Cincinnati. Wow, is this game going to be one for the ages? Because whoever wins this game, I think is going to get the number one seed in the AFC. Unless Kansas City somehow loses one of their last games. But let's just say if Kansas City does manage to lose one of their last two games, winner of this game will most likely get the number one seed.
Is Cincinnati that close?
Yeah, they're the same. They're pretty much one loss behind the Bills.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah, they're one loss behind the Bills. But Bengals have won 7 straight.
Yeah. And the Bengals are playing at home.
But yeah, we'll get to the pick'ems here in a little bit. But yeah, that game's really important for home field advantage. Bearing if the Chiefs somehow lose, but but worst comes to worst, either Buffalo travels to Cincinnati in the playoffs or Cincinnati travels to Buffalo in the playoffs. So it's gonna be big. I'm excited to see how the Bills defense will do against Jamar Chase, T. Higgins, and that amazing Bengals offense. Josh Allen against the Bengals defense will be pretty interesting too. But the key match I'm looking forward to is those receivers against those Bills cornerbacks and safeties, like Jordan Poyer, Tre'Davious White, all them guys. I think it'd be a fun matchup to see. So, again, winner of this game, if the Chiefs win this game, we'll get a huge playoff advantage. Yeah, any last thoughts on that game?
No, just I think that'll be another fun game to watch. As we get closer to the end of the season, I look at some of these games and I'm like, I don't want to watch that one. But this is one that I would definitely want to watch.
Yeah, so, all right, enough talking about games. Time for pick'ems. As you can tell, last week we kind of did like a new thing, kind of like a little last-minute idea. We pick 5 games. One of us picks 2, one of us picks 3, and we pick these games, winner these games. So this week, we'll start off with Dolphins-Patriots. I actually like New England in this one. I think New England at home, they're playing better, more physical. They're playing very gritty. In their last 2 games, they lost on the final play of the game due to their mistakes. I don't think this time against a Teddy Bridgewater-led offense at New England, I don't think they're going to let that go. I'm picking New England. How about you?
So, the Patriots did almost beat the Bengals in the second half, which is exactly what I predicted last week. But I don't know, even with a backup quarterback, how I feel about them beating the Dolphins. I think I'm going to go with the Dolphins just because they have more offensive weapons, and I feel like I don't know. I feel like this will be an interesting game. I feel like it's going to be a close game, definitely.
Man, I agree. So we're going split. Start off the bat. Another game we might go split. Carolina versus Tampa Bay. If the Bucks win, they win the NFC South. If the Panthers win their last 2, they win the NFC South. This should be a fun game. Well, fun as in sloppy football. It's going to be a sloppy game, but it's going to be a fun game. I like Carolina's one, though. Tampa Bay, their offense have not been clicking for some reason. They went to overtime against the Arizona Cardinals, who were 4-10, led by their third-string backup, Trace McSorley. The Bucks offense have not been clicking all year. I believe Ryan Jensen should be back for the offensive line for the Bucks, so that should help a little bit. But I like that Panthers run game, especially coming off a big win against Detroit. I like the Carolina Panthers this one. I think the Panthers actually might win by double digits. That's a bold prediction. How about you?
I don't think there's going to be a double-digit deficit in this game. I think it's going to be a tight game, and honestly, I don't think either of these teams deserve to go to the playoffs, but someone has to win the division. So, I feel like the Bucks are going to pull it out of their butt at the last second, and they're going to win that game. But it is going to be tight.
Ooh, split again. So we're split. Jets, Seattle. That's actually going to be an interesting matchup. Mike White against Geno Smith. Both teams fighting for a playoff spot, getting a little bit out of the playoff picture, but one of these teams are going to be an inch closer. I'm split on this one because
Who's playing QB for the Jets?
It's Mike White.
Okay.
I'm actually going to go with the Seahawks. I think Geno Smith gets a bounce back game. They played a little, I know it's I can't say, but they played decently well. I think they played better than I thought they would. I think the Seahawks win this game. I feel like at home, and the Jets, they just couldn't get it done. With changing QBs constantly, I get Mike White was out, but Mike White going to Seattle against a very underrated Seattle defense, and with Geno Smith and the weapons. Now, Geno Smith against that great Jets defense will be tough too, but I feel like the Seahawks at home, I like it. This is where Geno Smith needs to prove, hey, I'm that guy. I know it's a rebuild year for Seattle, but this is a prove game for Geno if they want to sign him to a long-term deal.
I'm going to agree with you on this one. I feel like Seattle has really outperformed, and a lot of people underestimated them going into this year. And I think they've done very well. Have they done well enough to make it into the postseason? I don't know that yet, but I do see them beating the Jets.
So we're agreeing on one. All right, next up is America's Game of the Week, Vikings-Packers. I don't care. This is an NFL podcast show. Everyone knows I'm a Packer fan. But I do like Green Bay in this one. I feel like Green Bay right now is playing really well. They're playing hot. They're getting the rookies connected. The defense is stepping up, even though they've been all season. It's going to be a tough task for them against that Justin Jefferson. But here's the thing that kind of interesting me about. Kirk Cousins in a big game. This is a big game in Kirk Cousins' career. Kirk Cousins really delivered in the big moments. I do think the Vikings receiving core like Justin Jefferson is going to at least torch Packers. But in the end, I think Aaron Rodgers in those receiving core. And we'll see if Christian Watson plays. He should play, but... And right now, too, the Green Bay Packers finally have a good special team returner, Keyshawn Nixon. Keyshawn Nixon is going to be a big, reliable source for them in a special team play. I like Green Bay in this one, but I think it's going to potentially be an overtime game, in my opinion.
So, I agree with what you're saying. My only concern is the Packers defense. Are they going to be able to stop Justin Jefferson? Are they going to be able to stop the other weapons on the team? So, I don't know.
It'll be tough, but if the Vikings score 3 and Keyshawn Nixon gets an 80-yard return.
An 80-yard return for them to not convert.
But yeah, I mean, I'm still picking the Packers. I think this actually should be probably the other than the Bills, Bengals. But yeah, so we're going split. You're going Vikings and going Packers.
I guess so. I'm not going to be surprised if either team wins this game, but I think it's going to be a close game, and I think it's going to be a good game.
Last but not least, the game everyone's talking about. We talked about a little bit ago. The Bills and the Bengals. Joe Burrow, Josh Allen, weapons on offense. Stephon Diggs, Gabe Davis, Jamar Chase. Oh my goodness, it's like might be a 40-point burger for both teams that night. I'm gonna go with the Bengals. I feel like the Bengals have. I said it before. Ever since like the Bengals started a little streak, I think the Cincinnati Bengals are wreaking havoc, and I think they are poised to get back to the Super Bowl. I think ever since that Super Bowl loss, they're coming back with a vengeance. I like the Bengals in this one. I will not be actually surprised if the Bengals just blow out the Bills too. I'm not saying that. It's gonna be a close game. Bengals win though.
I'm going to go with the Bills, and this is the reason why. Last week, the Patriots almost came back and beat the Bengals, and they did not perform very well in the second half. And you have to be able to play a full game of football in this league. Now, the Bills haven't been doing that either.
Bills struggling in the first half against the Bears.
Exactly. Okay. But, yeah. So, I don't know. It's going to be interesting to see. These teams are both going to have to be on their A game. And it's just going to be who is more on top of it.
All right, so we're split. So, recap, Miami, New England were split. Carolina, Tampa Bay were split. Vikings, Packers were split. We agree on just Seattle. We both picked Seattle, and we're split on Buffalo, Cincinnati. So,
the Vikings-Packers game, I'm, split on, but, yeah.
And those were the Week 17 pick'em. We have one more topic before the end of the show. Recently, well, not really recently, but a couple days ago, shocking news of the week. Derek Carr has been benched. There's rumors going around saying he's been benched because of trading purposes. Devontae Adams is obviously ticked off about that, which I wouldn't blame him because that's the reason he wanted to be a Raider. I don't know, tough situation for the Raiders right now, especially with their franchise quarterback. I just want to hear your thoughts on that.
Well, they drafted him in 2014. He's been there for so long. He's made the Pro Bowl 3 times, and he's done a lot for their team. And it's kind of a shame to see what's happening. And there's a lot of issues going on with the Raiders that I don't necessarily think are his fault, and it's unfortunate when, in that position, sometimes you're made into a scapegoat.
Right, and that's kind of like the Nathaniel Hackett with Russell Wilson as his coaching. But anyways, back to the Raiders though. Derek Carr, he came into the Raiders organization with open arms. He led him to a really good season in 2016 before breaking his, I believe it was fibula that year. He was in the MVP conversation that year. He led him to a playoff game. And then he got hurt. And then Derek Carr again last year. Let him do a playoff game. Had to win the last 2 games to make the playoffs. Did that. Was the guy. They got Josh McDaniels hoping to, rejuvenate that Raiders offense. And this is an interesting stat. For every, I saw him, I think it was NBC Sports. Every year Derek Carr was starting quarterback for the Raiders from his rookie season to now. The Raiders were either in 3rd place in the AFC West when it came to ranked defense or last. And 2 of those seasons were dead last in the NFL altogether. So defense has not been helping. And it stinks too because the Raiders traded away their best players like Khalil Mack. They traded away other players too. it is kind of unfair to Derek Carr for what he's done, and I agree. For a quarterback to give him his all, and we're not saying like he's the ghost, but he's a quarterback that he's capable of leading you to at least a couple playoff wins. I don't think Derek Carr is a Super Bowl quarterback, but he's capable of leading you to a couple playoff wins.
I think with the right team, he could be a Super Bowl quarterback, but not with the Raiders.
But yeah, and with him being benched, Devontae Adams, whew, and potentially a lot of other players too. So we'll see how that goes. I think I feel for Derek Carr. I think he's a great quarterback, great kid, great personality. If Aaron Rodgers or if any quarterback were to retire tomorrow, I'd take Derek Carr. I think a lot of teams would take Derek Carr in a heartbeat.
Well, and that's another thing is, and I said this before, it's not just can they perform, how do they fit within the system that you have. And I feel like Derek Carr has the type of personality he could fit wherever you put him.
Man, I agree. So we'll see. We'll see how it goes. I mean, we got 2 weeks left. 2 weeks before the playoffs, and should be a fun playoffs. Should be really fun. A lot of fun games this weekend. We'll see which ones are right and which one are wrong. We'll come up with a Monday recap of the games. We'll record them, post them on Monday. It's New Year's, so hopefully a lot of teams get their New Year's resolution with a Super Bowl trophy. Bam. As always, thank you for listening to 4th Down Podcast. We're your hosts. My name is Alex.
My name is Mickey.
Be sure to tune out for Monday for a recap of Week 17 with some of the games. We probably won't have the Bills-Bengals recap because obviously if it posted on Monday, the game will be Monday night. But we'll have recaps of some of the games. We may have a special podcast out for Tuesday for recap that game because it should be a fun game. But yeah.
I mean, it should be fun.
Yeah. All right, y'all. Next time we'll talk to y'all, we'll be in 2023. So hope everyone has a great new year. Be safe, and we'll talk to you guys later. Bye. Have a great rest of your day.
Bye.